welcome to I Got My Miracle. I'm so grateful to be here with Blake.
Happy to be here too.
Blake and I are here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, at Rythmia, talking about miracles. And we just prayed in, and I said, this is a place where miracles are normalized. And we want to live in a world. And this is our world. From now on, and everybody who's watching, your world, our world, my world, your world is normalized miracles. We're in a world of normalized where the miraculous happens every day in our lives because that's what we're about. So if you're up for that, stay tuned for this conversation. So I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
So, brother, thank you for saying yes to doing this interview. You've just had a week at Rythmia, but this is your third time at Rythmia.
That's right.
Okay, so for people that are out there going, well, why do you need to come 3 times? Like, what's up? What would you say?
I would say that the transformations that I've received at Rythmia have led to lasting change. But every time I come, I transform more. I become more of who I truly am. And life just gets better and better and better. And I also have new awarenesses about parts of myself that I'm willing to face and to move through because I realize that I carry unnecessary suffering with me. And I've learned that at Rythmia and with the medicine that I can look at these things and I can find solutions within myself so that I can get on with my life.
Yeah. That's something that's been really up for me. It's finding solutions within ourselves, right? Like It's all here.
Yeah.
And because we're God, we're the one source and one power. We're connected to that universal mind. And when we stop and listen long enough, get quiet, we can hear the voice of God, which is our voice, which is the truth. We can trust ourselves.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that. So, and said it really beautifully, right? Like there are different aspects. Now, a lot of people come to Rythmia one time. Like 70% of people don't come back. They've had a great experience and they're like, I don't need to do that anymore. I'm good. But about 30% of people come back for most of them to go deeper, like you. Like there's just layers of the onion to peel. So let's talk about what called you here this time. What brought you here this time?
Well, I think it's hard to talk about this time without talking about the other 2 times.
Okay.
Because I've been here 3 times now, and it feels like the same journey with very critical teachings that have come between that have helped me to advance once I've come back. So the first time I came in June of 2023, I'd been suffering from chronic headaches for half of my life. I'm 32 and I'd had them for the past 16 years.
Wow.
Every single day. And I came the first time and the medicine showed me in a very profound way that my body and my soul, the first thing is that they're separate. It's not a concept that I had really come to understand. And so in learning that they're separate, I learned that during this time that I was struggling with headaches, that they were at war with each other, that they were trying to silence one another back and forth. And the amount of suffering that came with that was threatening my existence.
Wow.
But what the medicine did was that it showed me how to broker this peace between my body and my soul, and this realization that we're on the same team and we want the same thing. So let's work together and love one another. And so after my first time here, the headaches went away.
Wow.
An absolute miracle. My life was changed. The quality of my thoughts was improved. So I left Rythmia and I had a really good couple of months. And then I started to realize that some of the habits that I had created in a response to my pain were still there. And that was in the form of addiction. It was to pain pills from being overprescribed by doctors. It was with alcohol, really anything I could get my hands on to kind of take me out of this reality. And even though the pain was gone, the addiction remained. And it was getting harder and harder. And my grip was becoming more and more difficult
Mm.
to hold on to this high vibration that I had achieved. So I said, I'm going to go back. The medicine helped me with something that I thought was insurmountable, and it can help me again with another thing that I believe might be insurmountable.
Yeah.
So when I came back the second time, the medicine showed me that addiction, which was this thing that I came to Rythmia believing was the worst part of me, that was the part that caused me to lie, cheat, and steal and operate in the shadows and live a life of isolation and robbed me of my authenticity, that the addiction actually was a choice that my soul made in order to keep me alive, to get me to healing. Because if I hadn't been reaching outside myself for these things, I would have killed myself from the chronic pain I was suffering from.
Mm.
And once I knew this in my heart, then came gratitude, and then came the ability to let go, because I wasn't a victim to this addiction anymore. It was something that had to happen so that I could have my healing, so that I could wake up. And so the second time
So good.
I purged that voice from my head, and there's always the chance that it could come back. But that's why my practices are important every day, making sure that I put myself first and I connect with myself, and I eat and I exercise and I do things that are good for me and good for my mind. And then that voice just stays silent. So it was chronic headaches, it was addiction. And what I realized, so at this point, I've had these massive transformations and breakthroughs, and I'm gaining clarity in my everyday life, and I'm starting to really understand what's going on inside me. And I realized that I have this depression that was underlying the chronic headaches and was underlying the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath that depression was fear. And once again, I said, I believe that I can learn something about this depression that will help me to get out of this victim mindset that this depression is happening to me, and help me to get on with my life, because there's a great deal of fear around it. And this trip was a little different. So I came on I was here on Monday, the first night of ceremony, and one of the things that the medicine revealed to me is that my depression is of my own making. That depression and things like addiction walk hand in hand down the same road and lead to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
That at a very deep level, depression is an addiction. It's a choice.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
like physically,
yes,
the body gets used to the chemicals that the pituitary gland releases
mm-hmm.
in this cycle of addiction or guilt or shame. Like we can get addicted to those chemical releases.
Right. Yeah. I looked at it as depression was this big, comfortable bed of suffering that I'd created for myself.
Mm.
And part of me was addicted to going and hiding in that bed, because it was for no other reason than it was familiar.
Yeah. Really great insights.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, insights that were not told to me by an outside source, but insights that when the medicine put the mirror in front of me, that I saw very clearly these things. The answers were always there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so under this addiction and depression was this fear. And one of the things I learned on Tuesday night this week, I learned that what would happen if you replace fear with curiosity? If instead of seizing up and losing your breath and anticipating the worst possible outcomes from a situation, what if you put that away and you just think, if you approach it with curiosity, and how much more productive would that be with all situations in life? And on Wednesday, the medicine showed me how to replace that fear with curiosity. And I'll tell a quick story. And this is my miracle for this week.
Okay.
So on Wednesday morning, my wife called me, and we have our first child due at the end of October.
Yay!
Baby girl. And she called me and said, "Hey, I just left our midwife, and our baby's heart rate is dangerously low. And there's a really high chance that the umbilical cord is wrapped around the baby's neck. And that filled me with a great deal of fear. And I held on to it all day, and it was rather paralyzing. I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I was afraid of what would happen if I thought about it too much. And so I go into ceremony, and the medicine shows me how to replace this fear with curiosity. I'm lying there and I'm thinking about this situation, and my mind goes the route of curiosity, and my spirit goes into my wife's womb and meets my unborn child for the first time. And I was in there with her, and I said, "You're so beautiful, and your mother and I love you so much, and we're so proud of you. And you are your mother's daughter, so you are powerful and you are capable." And then I spent some time teaching her how to move her body so that she could unwrap the cord herself. I didn't go in there to unwrap the cord. I had to teach her how to do it. And it was the most beautiful, clear-headed experience of my life. And I left the Maloka Wednesday night and truly understood the power of replacing fear with curiosity. I got a call from my wife yesterday morning as we left, as I was leaving ceremony with Taita, and she told me she'd just gotten a sonogram and that our baby's cord is no longer wrapped around its neck.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, and I don't, I shared this story, and some people have told me good job. And I don't like the way that feels, because what I understand is that we all have this power inside of us. I'm not more special than anybody. I was just given this gift of understanding for myself how powerful we are.
This is,
and that when you become one with God, anything is possible.
This is the key. First of all, I just want to acknowledge you for this beautiful, like, you've just spoken impromptu, extemporaneously for the last 12 minutes. So beautifully, so clearly. I was like, just keep going. Because so let me just recap. You came with chronic pain the first time, had a realization that your body and soul were warring with each other, that there was a disharmony, and you harmonized those two parts, right, of yourself, the other parts of you, and realizing that and this is integral to parts theory or internal family systems, that like all the parts of us, even the addicted part, even all the parts of us actually want the best for us. They're just not synchronized, right? They have different perspectives on how to get to there. Well, doesn't that sound like a normal family or politics? You know. And so this harmonizing and unification of your soul and your body, and realizing we're on the same team, being able to do that. And then this insight that you had around addictive patterns, that the body actually became addicted to this. Or no, first it was the addictive patterns with the pills, and realized this is another beautiful insight that you had, that everything had to happen exactly the way that it did. And it's really what we say, everything serves until it doesn't. And you realized, oh, wow, actually the thing that I thought was going to be my biggest source of shame and guilt actually became my victory story, which
it saved me.
Yes. And so there's gratitude for the thing that would normally be shameful. And I'll tell the audience that before we started talking, Blake and I, before we came on live, I asked Blake, few questions and he had mentioned addiction. I was like, well, do you not want to talk about that? And he's like, no, I think it's an important part of my story. And it is, so I just want to acknowledge you, like, no, that's an important piece to realize the thing. I'm not shameful about that. It's actually my victory story. It's how I got over. And then this latest iteration with overcoming depression and seeing that there was an addictive aspect to the depression. And which is, it's more comfortable to stay in the known, even if the known is dissatisfying, it's more comfortable to stay there than it is to go to the unknown. And you learn by moving to the unknown how to replace fear with curiosity. My teacher, Reverend Michael, teaches that fear is an energy, and energy is neither created nor destroyed, but transferred or conveyed into various forms. First law of thermodynamics, right? And so we can transfer that energy of fear. Curiosity becomes enthusiasm, or becomes excitement, and then excitement becomes enthusiasm. We can actually transmute that. And you had learned a way. And the biggest piece of what you said was that it was always within me the whole time. And this experience of going into the womb with your unborn daughter and meeting her, this is so powerful, man. And you're right, we all have that capability. And you said, when we realize our oneness with God, all things are possible. And this is the strongest teaching ever. And I just did this Thursday a Facebook Live, Instagram, YouTube live stream entitled "I Am God," because it took me a long time to say that, because I would be like, "I'm God." Oh shit! It's like, well, am I the Tower of Babel? Am I, what is that? That sounds not right. I can say I'm one with God. I can say I'm one with the one that is the one. I can say I am that which thou art that which I am. I can say all those things, but if I'm one with the one, then I am the one. I'm God. I'm an emissary of that unified field where all things are possible. The unified field of quantum physics, infinite potential, infinite possibility. I'm going to call that God. And when we realize that is who we are, that we actually can activate potentialities that exist outside of time and space, and bring them into the space-time continuum. That's called a miracle. When something that's extemporal becomes temporal. And so your story was like, like hitting all cylinders, man. Like, it's just so beautiful. Really, really, really beautiful.
Well, I feel very just fortunate to be able to share and to be honest. And if this story can help just one person, then
right.
Terrific.
So speaking of, like, talking a little bit about rythmia, and there's just to acknowledge there's such a great joy in this conversation, like really, really awesome. What was your experience of the resort, like in general, resort, the classes? What makes this place different than other ayahuasca retreat centers? Why did you choose to come back here 3 times instead of maybe trying another center?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to safety and love, which kind of go hand in hand. But this place feels safe from a geographical standpoint, from the physical layout of the resort, to the quality of the rooms, to the quality of the food, to the quality of the staff. Like, I feel like my needs will be met here while I'm going through this process. And so there's safety from a, just a hospitality standpoint, but then there's extreme emotional and spiritual safety as well. I think that Rythmia's program, which I don't think that can be understated, how important that is. The classes, the yoga, the way that the ceremonies are conducted. I think that you feel so loved and so supported throughout this whole week, which is challenging, and I'm glad it's challenging, because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't be worth it. So extreme safety, and then the love of not just the staff, not just people like yourself, but of the other guests as well. I mean, by the time you get to the end of the week, you realize that everyone here is just looking to heal and to find more peace and more love and more joy. And I think one of the really powerful aspects of this place is the openness that it cultivates, the conversation and the sharing that you have with other guests, and learning from everyone that's here, not just the teachers.
Right. Like the whole week is ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like at the pool, you're at lunch, you're in a class, you're at yoga, and stuff's popping.
Oh yeah. 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 So, safety and love. I think that's what Rythmia does best.
Really beautifully said. And I do think the program, medicine is the medicine. It's beautiful. It's going to do its job. It's a consciousness in and of itself. How it's the container in which it's delivered, I think, is super important.
Huge.
And I think that you're right. Like the way the classes are structured, the insights, the simplicity of the 3 intentions and the 4 questions, like that's the core, right? These 3 intentions: show me who I've become, merge with my soul, heal my heart, and help me forgive the unforgivable. And the 4 questions that help us get to remember it's all about the feeling, right? And the 4 principles, what's coming is going. The like to mind your own business, to push yourself a little bit further and drink, like all of those aspects. I think those core pieces of the curriculum here make this place unique, because you can find Shaman Bob down the street's probably doing a ceremony. Yeah. Everybody's doing ceremony these days, and beautiful people are traveling from Colombia and Brazil, all over the world, bringing this medicine. And those are beautiful ceremonies. But the week container here, the 1 week, 7-day container, for transformation, like if you want to move through the thing that you've been working on for 15 years and haven't been able to figure out, if you want to figure out your relationship, life purpose, like get clear on those things, it's going to happen here in a week,
Yeah, that's right. And it all happens. And I think the 4 nights in a row, while that is 4 nights of medicine in a row, while that's strenuous, I find it to be one of the key reasons that there's such a high miracle rate here, because it pushes people to the edge. When you come out the other side, it's like the joy and freedom and love that you get is worth every ounce of effort that you put in.
Beautiful. And there's a bunch of questions I could ask you, but I feel like this is such a complete place. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else that's on your heart?
People ask me a lot about whether I'll come back. They've asked me that, whether I'll come back after each time I've gone. They even asked me before I went the first time. Is this a one and done thing? Is this something you're going to commit to doing every certain number of months or years? And one of the things that Rythmia has really taught me, that I think is very much at the core of some of the principal teachings you were discussing, is how to be present, that the joy and the love and the peace of God is in this current moment. And so, for those that may be contemplating coming, aren't really sure, first I would say just come and do it, because once you come and you do it and you get to the other side, you're going to say, why didn't I go sooner? So you can get on with your life. Right. And so, but what it's allowed me to do is be present. So I don't know if I'll come back in 2 weeks or 2 years or 20 years, but now I'm open to the possibility of anything happening, and that being okay.
Yeah.
So
You'll hear the call. I feel like I'm called. And I don't do the medicine a lot. I've done it a lot in the 7 years that I've been, 8 years now, holy moly, that I've been here. I've had a lot of ceremonies. Over these last few years, it's been more like when I'm called. Like I'll hear the call and be like, okay, it's time. Because I think that, so that I'm sure you'll hear the call when you're ready again. And there's so much integration to do. Like you've had such a huge expansion. And that's another beautiful thing that we have here is our app, the Our Life, Rythmia Life app, which will really help with the integration piece. It's like a full integration program that's included in the retreat. So,
and I think that's an extension of the safety and love I was talking about, that even after you leave Rythmia, you still feel supported. You still have access to these resources and tools.
Yeah. Beautiful, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, if you're listening on or watching on Facebook and YouTube, there's a number on the screen that you can call. If you're on Instagram, just go to rythmia.com and check it out. And thank you so much for joining us. Peace and blessings, everybody.